You're watching Zach Pack TV.
It's going to be a video on how to repair your Christmas lights on your Christmas tree, or how to restring a pre-lit Christmas tree that you can't get the lights working on. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in today. I got the fireplace going for you, as you can see. That's a fun little feature on Netflix, don't forget about it. Every year I turn it on. We don't have a fireplace. It kind of gives the ambience in the room, and yeah, just gives you those Christmas vibes. But today, I got my little helper again. I'm watching her today, so I thought what better way to spend it than making a video together and maybe helping somebody else. She's gonna sing a song. All right, Crosley, so can I tell them what's going on with our tree? Okay, so guys, every year, you know, it's always, well, I hope the tree is gonna be good. The lights are gonna come on like they should, and sometimes they don't. Like my tree here, you can see only about one strand is lit. Now this is a newer tree to me. We actually swapped trees out. It's actually a used tree. Let's go ahead and say that. But we swapped them out because we got this stand that spins, and I don't think I got it. Let's see, it's not. All right. So here's our tree that spins, and all right, yeah. So this is our tree. Stand for our old one was a fiber optic, and it wouldn't fit in this spinning tree stand, and we got the tree stand that spins as a gift, and we wanted to use it. So here we are. We got the tree and we turned it on. Only this section of lights work. So right away we eliminated one thing. We know that our power source is good, which is what I want to bring to your guys' attention here. If you're trying to get a tree going and say none of the lights come on, this is where you want to start. You want to check your power cord, okay? And look at this guy here. That's a cool little foot switch. Now, if you have one of these and the tree doesn't come on, these are the things I suggest you do. Which is a cool little fuse holder. Now, never work on this while it's plugged in. Always unplug your tree anytime you're messing with electrical. This is no different than messing with a live wire. Okay, so as you can see in there, we got fuses. And you might be able to see, you might not. There's a spare fuse and an actual fuse that is in two sets of prongs there. That's the one that's got power running through it. This is just a spare fuse. Now you can take your fuse out and inspect it, but from experience, I don't need to do that. I can just glance at it and see there's no burns, no splits. It's one solid wire going through, so there's a good connection there. Daddy. And if you do have a fuse blown, this would be the time to change it and plug it in, and hopefully your tree will turn on. If not, this could be your culprit if you have one of these. If not, don't listen to me. So what I want you to do is, if you have a foot switch, swap it out with a different extension cord, okay? Plug it directly into your tree's wiring right here. Now, if you do that and you swap it out with a different cord and it works, well, you know your foot switch was bad. If it doesn't work, here's what I want you to do. I want you to grab the end. It will be your first string of lights is going to look like this, and it's also going to have a slider. So if you have no power, say none of your bulbs are lit up, then you want to start looking at your fuses on here, and you're going to want to look at all of them, especially if, like, say the top's lit or the top's lit up and the bottom's not. How these wires work is they're meant to be wired. Yes. these wires are double wired here. Okay, so say that's lit up right now, then you probably have a short. If you don't have any parts that are lit up, then you probably have a blown fuse. So check your fuses here until you find the one that's blown and swap it out. I already did all this and checked all these fuses and they were all good. So that brings me to, if all your fuses are good, and say you plug a strand in, or here's another thing you can do is you can split the strands up. So if you have your extension cord, what I want you to do is go to the next strand of lights and plug that strand in and see if the rest of the tree will work. If the rest of the tree works, odds are your problem's down here with either a fuse or a short. So if you can't get any of that and say it's still not working, which I got this part that was working, but I went through, checked all my fuses. I even started pulling out each light, because what you run into is you pull these lights out, and sometimes people can take light bulbs out of the trees and not put them back in, right? And that will make a bad connection. So if you look here, I don't know if you can see, but on these light bulbs, they are wrapped with wire. So if this filament blows up here, it's still going to make a connection throughout the tree as long as these little prongs are making contact with your connector and your wiring. If they're not making connection, then that simulates a split in the line. It simulates a bulb not even being in there. So here is what I recommend you do is, say none of your trees lit up, you've checked all your fuses, still nothing, or say you were in a situation like me where only a little bit of the tree was working. I want you to go around and look for maybe a bulb that is just completely missing in a couple spots. If the bulb is completely missing, your light strand will not work for that section. So it just depends on how much time you guys want to have wrapped up in this. You could get mad at it and just go buy a brand new one. Today I have time. I'm going to shoot a video and hopefully help some people out in this. And I'm going to show you my end result to fixing this tree, because this one had me stumped all over. I started unplugging each light just to see if maybe one of these let me see here. One of these little wires got bent to the side and wasn't making a good connection. But man, I tell you what, they all were plugged in, and the only thing I can say is what can happen is a bad soldering joint or connection can develop inside behind these lights, because let's face it, these trees get thrown around, get thrown in the box, get thrown in the attic. There's room for something like that going wrong, and they get, every year they have to get bent and fluffed. So over time, this tree could be over 10 years old for all I know. So over time, these connections go bad, and you just have to face it. You have to go buy a brand new one or figure out a solution. So say you go over this tree and you can't find anything wrong with it. You can't find any missing bulbs. You can't find any bulbs that are halfway out. Everything looks good. Then what you're probably dealing with is a similar situation, which I have with this one, and it's just a bad connection. Could be a wire that's broken inside, connection in the actual outlet of the bulb here. So what I want to share with you is my next step on how I'm going to fix this. I've already taken out from here to here of the lights, and I'm just going to give you a quick tip on if you're going to restring it. Say you got the time to restring it and rewrap it with lights. We got our Christmas lights here ready to go. The only downside to this is you can't take the sections apart and leave the lights on anymore. It's going to be like a non-pre-lit tree, so you're going to have to wrap this each year. But hey, that takes all the fun out of it sometimes, is having a pre-lit tree. Some people like putting different lights on, so think of it as a positive, I guess. So here we go. We're gonna find the wire and just start cutting away. Oh, before you start cutting away, make sure it's unplugged, which I already know it's unplugged, but you just wanna verify. And you wanna verify that no one's gonna plug this in while you're working on it, so maybe even toss the cord away from the tree. But here's what you wanna start doing. And you can do this, you can take this whole tree apart and do it in sections like this. It might be easier for you. But I just started going around with my snips and just start cutting the wires. That's what you have to do. There's these little plastic pieces that hold the wire in, and it can make a pain if you're just trying to eliminate the wire. But if you cut them with these snips, you can actually just yank them out and leave the little plastic clips in the tree, and you'll never know they were there. So this is what I've been doing, is just getting little strands like this, dropping them on the floor and tossing them. Yeah, if you can yank on a wire, you might have to unravel it a little bit. But if you get to a spot where, say, it's not wanting to come, you just cut it and move on. And eventually, it'll work out for you. No matter how many little sections you gotta cut, this can be time consuming. Here's a good example of one of the rubber pieces. It's actually a clip. You can pull it out. You might pull some pine needles out with it, but you can pull them out. I just figured I'd do that later if they bug me enough. But they actually pull right through. The wire pulls right through after you snip it. Some of these trees will be different than mine. They won't have all that. But yeah, this is the process. Now that I came to the fact that I wasn't going to get them working, and I didn't want to spend any more time on it trying to troubleshoot the tree. So I thought, well, we'll just restring it, and each year we can decide what lights we want on it. This was a GE tree. It's built really well. Honestly, very minimal pine needles when I got it out, and even working on it, there's still only like one or two here or there, if that. So some of these older trees are worth, that'd be some of my advice for you, some good advice, is some of these older trees are worth hanging on to, guys, because you go out to the store today, you're gonna get the most, well, if you go to a box store, you're gonna get the most dinky Chinese-made tree that money can buy off the shelf, and odds are it's gonna be shedding right out of the box all over your house. So hopefully for you guys, it's just a matter of a fuse being bad. But yeah, this is my pile so far, and I'm gonna keep working on this. Just wanted to run over a few things again. Make sure you try a different cord power supply to the tree. If you do have lights on at all, then you know it's not your power supply, because you're getting power up here. So if there's power up here, you got power almost everywhere. It's just a short, because like I was saying, those bulbs are wrapped, so it carries continuity through that tree, even if there's an issue. And that's one thing I'll go back to, it just had me stumped, is I pulled each one of these bulbs. Well, I didn't pull each one of them out, but I pulled a lot of them out and checked them. But you would think that if these connections were good, then you wouldn't have gotten power up to here. There would have been some kind of short. So I found out why you could have a short. This is why you could have a short in the bulb. I wasn't thinking, guys. See here. So these are 3-wired. I knew there was the reason why. So why you can have part of the tree working and part of it not is there's a separate hot wire running past this bulb here. So as you can see, power goes in and power goes out. Well, there's also a 3rd wire here, which would be a different power source. Yeah, so, and that actually would be, actually you have 3 wires. So you have you have 2 hots running through this at all times. So this hot skipped this bulb and set of strands, and it would have went up to the next light. So that's how you can have a short in one of these bulb or one of these connections, and all the bulbs be good, and you just scratching your head onto why it's not working. All the fuses could be good. This is what tripped me up though, was, here's another example of how you can see a wire runs past that bulb, so it never makes connection there, so it goes on to the next circuit. But this is what tripped me up, was these white bulbs. I thought, oh, somebody threw a blinker in there. No, this white bulb was on every beginning of strand, it seemed to be. Someone had, and that was a funny thing. They pulled right out, which brings me to something else I want to show you guys before I get off of here. But it was a white bulb, and I went to pull on them, and it just pulled the bulb right out. So, brings me to something else I want to share with you guys is, okay, say you have a Christmas, because I've done this before, say you have a Christmas light bulb that's burnt out. You can't for the life of you find another one of these sockets, right? Say you got one from another tree, another Christmas decoration like I have here on under the TV, whatever. So what you're gonna do is, if you don't have any spare bulbs and you can't find any that'll work, is you're gonna bend these tabs out of this holder here, and voila, it comes right out. You're gonna take your bulb from your other Christmas decoration, spare bulbs, obviously. You're not gonna just go rob a bulb for something that you're using, but use a spare bulb, and you're gonna fish, and these ends are bent. You're gonna fish that bulb through there like that, and then you're gonna bend these over, these copper wires, gonna bend over, and voila, you got a replacement bulb. So if you have any burnout and that's really tripping you up, well, unplug the tree and do what I just did, and you'll have brand new, good to go bulbs. I think that's going to be it for today. I hope this helped on your restringing and also on bulb repair. Hope you find those fuses. I hope you don't have to restring the whole thing, but if you do, just stay positive, because maybe you got a good tree and you don't want to throw it out, or maybe you like the idea of restringing each year with different colors, or just the fun of restringing all together and hanging ornaments. So that concludes this episode of How To. Please subscribe, hit the like button. I also want to note that this is just kind of a hobby for now for me, so any comments that you drop, maybe something I left out, maybe something I said wrong, please let me know. Please share. Maybe you have better advice and you can help others out on my page. And thanks for tuning in as always.